All right, everyone, now it's time to talk about George Allen Kelly and the murder charge that's been levied against him. He's a rancher in Arizona near the Mexican border. So naturally, you have a problem with sometimes groups of people tramping across your property. Tends livestock, he has a bunch of animals there, and an illegal immigrant was crossing his property, and he shot him. Now he's been brought forth on first-degree murder charges. Now, first degree may not stick in this case. Just to be clear, first degree is premeditation. If you see someone crossing your property and you shoot them, and it's, spur of the moment, that doesn't really speak to premeditation. I think that particular charge ends up getting reduced. They might drop the charge entirely. However, I will point out something that I see here that's concerning. I see this story being replicated across the right-wing media. And I believe that the U.S. border crisis desperately needs attention. I do not believe in blanket amnesty. I believe people, if they're immigrating to a country, should do the paperwork and go through the proper channels. I consider it disrespectful to go any other way. Unless a person is legit fleeing political violence or something, so you're a Venezuelan dissident and Maduro just whacked your whole family, you managed to escape, okay, well then you can seek asylum. The majority of people entering the United States are not being documented in any way. They're not seeking asylum. They're simply wandering across a neglected border and then causing problems in the United States. And that is what is happening. You see what's happening right now in New York City, of all places, where their shelter system is so overcrowded that they had to requisition a bunch of hotel rooms to put people in. And it's causing an absolute fiasco there. New York City is nowhere near the Mexican border. So when people get hot under the collar, and when there's vigilantism, it's not a huge surprise to me. I would like to point out the legalese behind this, though. The first problem, and all of the articles are admitting this straight up, although I noticed that they put it down near the bottom of the article. Well, we don't have any further information right now. We just know that a charge has been made after a dude killed an illegal immigrant on his property. And so it begs the question, what was the actual situation here? To be clear, you cannot simply open fire on a person who is running in the opposite direction, even if it's on your own property. Stand your ground does not really apply in that situation. If a person is walking across your cabbage patch, I realize that they don't really grow cabbages down there near Nogales in Mexico, just to be clear. When they're walking across your avocado orchard or whatever, you cannot readily identify if the person's illegal or not. Just think about it this way. Unless you saw them literally physically crossing the border, which is possible, but we don't have any particular evidence of that, you would not know that they were from the other side illegally in the country. Does that, by the way, change the metric of the situation in regards to threat response? No. Unarmed individual walking around your property. Is it an imminent threat to your life or to your property itself, other than the grass they're standing on? No, it's not. Did this dude brandish a firearm? Well, then the rancher will be let free. Quite clearly, that's a different scenario. Did he charge at the rancher, hurling slurs and saying, "I'm going to wring your neck" or something? Then he would be justified. But if he simply opened fire on a person for moving across his property, it is trespass. You're not allowed to be there. He may have even given a verbal warning, get the fuck out. If the person then proceeded to do it and he shot him in the back, yeah, absolutely, you're going to end up with a murder charge. Some people are pretending right now, for mysterious reasons, that the nationality of the individual who was killed somehow makes a huge difference in the case. A person trespassing on your property, think about it. He's not a border patrol agent. He's not tasked specifically with guarding the border, even if it happens to literally be his property border. His only concern is his private property. Not the national border, not the state border, his ranch, which happens to conjoin to Mexico. That does not give him the right to randomly open fire and so on. What if he had done this? So, some dude wanders out from behind the hay bales, and it turns out it was actually his next door neighbor dicking his granddaughter or something like that. Whoops, yeah, see, that's not an illegal. You misconstrued them as one. And he happens to be in an area where there are a lot of people who look the part, by the way. I doubt he's going to be able to tell the difference. Again, if someone's wandering around your property, you have every right to arm yourself. You have every right to take precautions to make sure you're not attacked, that there's no imminent danger. But unless there is a physical threat at that time, persons wielding a firearm or other weapon, they are advancing on you in a threatening manner. You can raise your gun and say, back the fuck off and go away. If they continue moving towards you, depending on the state, you can open fire. And you have to check your state laws, by the way, beforehand. But if the person was not armed, and it's presumptive that that's likely the case here because he had just illegally crossed the border, probably not carrying a firearm, kind of hard to get those in Mexico unless you have cartel connections. If the dude didn't aim at the rancher, didn't threaten to shoot the rancher, didn't advance on the rancher or something like that, then it can't possibly be justified regardless of who was shot. And again, you can make it, this is why people need to understand the law a little bit more, because I have a feeling some people believe that simply trespassing on property is a killing offense. Well, just look at January 6th. Most of the people there were engaged in simple mere trespass, and one of them got shot for it. That wasn't justified either. By the way, there was no verbal warning issued to her either, to Ashley Babbitt. I have a feeling that the Gateway Pundit and similar sites wouldn't be begging the question of, oh, was it justified or not in that case now, would they? But that was a person with a different colored hat on now, wasn't it? That she was wearing a MAGA hat. There is a bit of hypocrisy here. We need to take care of the U.S. border. Something needs to be done. Biden admin clearly is not interested in doing so it'll require, like in Texas, state effort. It'll require restoring a populace to the executive branch. Whether that's Trump or not is anyone's guess. Getting rid of the neoliberals and ending globalism, the hard side of globalism that results in effectively what is a massive human trafficking display. But that doesn't mean that some random rancher who gets pissed off because people keep wandering across his field and bothering his cattle has the right to randomly blow somebody away. I expect, by the way, that I'll take some flack in the comments, just to be clear, from my audience, for my opinion here. But that's the cold, die-hard legalese behind it. If you don't like that, you can always attempt to change the law. Hey, if a person wanders across the Mexican border, across your land, it's perfectly fine if you shoot them. Now, that's fine, but that's not the law the way it is right now, is it? And it would lead to a hell of a lot of situations where a person makes a deadly mistake. That's about all. Peace out.